But what I find very tricky is you don't want to keep trying to recreate yourself as a 20-year-old.
No, you don't. And
And that is difficult to build that glamour bridge because we don't have any images to go by. You had to do it all ourselves. We had to figure it out. What does an average woman do who doesn't have the advantages of all that accumulated knowledge and wisdom?
Yeah, well, look, I think that there's so much available to everybody out there, and you
Today.
can find a fashion, your fashion, you can find makeup tricks, and then you can say to yourself, you know what, I love the way I am, who I am, and at this stage of my life, embrace it. For example, like I just had the opportunity in the last few years to do some new TV roles, TV movies, and I was just so excited that I got to play the diva matriarch. Okay, I was the floozy, I was the mistress, I was whatever. This time I was the matriarch, and I had a very different hairstyle, and I loved it. I was still glamorous, I was commanding, and I was powerful, and I was powerful in that age range, in that
I love
role.
that. Yeah.
Good morning and welcome to episode 9 of Aging with Grace 55 Plus Diane Gilman. I'm your co-host Dale Josey, and today's special guest is actress, singer, and businesswoman Audrey Landers, whom many will recognize from her iconic role as Afton Cooper on the incredibly popular TV series Dallas.
But first, these kind of names.
But first, right? Speaking of iconic businesswomen, you're going to recognize my co-host Diane Gilman from 28 years on air as the longest running and #1 fashion personality on HSN QVC. Good morning, Diane, and please introduce today's episode, including our special guest, the talented Audrey Landers.
Hi, Dale. Well, you know what? When Dale and I got together to co-host podcasts, I was really clear about one of the things that was so important to me as I aged was still being me, but having to recreate my image constantly, especially after breast cancer, deciding not to dye my hair, going all white. I mean, it's an adventure, believe me. You feel intrepid taking it. So I felt an instant kinship to Audrey Landers. There's a woman who has been in front of the public for decades, since she's 14.
Wow.
Did 8 uninterrupted years on Dallas as a major player and character, has gone on to win gold records, platinum records, all sorts of honors, and it is my pleasure to introduce a still stunningly beautiful and glamorous woman, Audrey. Audrey, I don't pretend to be in show business. My form of show business was tele-retailing without a script and sort of, the Wild West.
Yeah, I know how hard that is. I had a little teeny taste of that with my mom, but it's like what you did. And I know how difficult and challenging, and how you have to be always thinking on your feet and making something that some people might not find truly exciting. I mean, you made it exciting.
I wasn't excited about it. The way you started show business, it was just at the age of 14, recording your first record. My gosh, I got into the.
I wrote it too.
She wrote it too. I got into the game very late, so I did not get on TV until I was 47. But that was sort of the right thing for the tele-retailing industry that had an older customer, an older viewership, and appreciated that. But I ask you this question: what keeps us older glamour girls going? So I'll tell you a really quick story. I got invited by a private fashion service that really dresses the stars as personal shoppers to an event in the Hamptons. I show up, little old girl me with my white hair, and I'm dressed, and I am at least 20, if not 30 years younger than anybody else sitting at that table. And it was for makeup. One woman turns around to me and says, "Will you tell me something?" I said, "Sure." She said, "Why do you bother?" She said, "Why do you care anymore?" It never occurred to me that old age came with a button you push that says, "I don't care, all the image I built all my life, I don't care about it anymore. I'll just go au naturel." You are so glamorous at 66. Is it a burden to you? Do you feel that you do it for your public who expects it? Is it something where you say to yourself, "I feel a little trapped within my image"?
Well, there are two sides to that. In my personal life, I feel very comfortable with who I am and how I look. And my main focus at this stage is to try to stay as healthy as possible. I mean, that should be everyone's focus.
Yes, yes.
Okay. And what goes along with that is eating healthy, exercising, all the things we all know. Okay. And they're so hard to do, really.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
They are.
But I do think that because I have always had this image, I don't want to disappoint. And it's it feels, sometimes I think maybe it's disingenuous because as I said, it's kind of twofold. You don't want to disappoint your public who remembers you as who you were, but then, hey, we all age, and
Yeah.
if we're lucky, okay, if we're lucky,
Yeah.
we get to age and we get to that point, and so I feel that for me, I like to look the best that I can, and it's not just for my public; it's for me. Since I started at such an early age, and I was at that point exposed to so many, makeup artists, hairdressers, etc., that what happened was I learned to be really self-sufficient.
Yes.
And as I moved on in my career, I always did my own makeup and I always did my own hair. And
Whoa.
I learned a lot from, the way clothes fit, which, look, as I said, my foray into retail shopping and online, my mom and I had a fashion collection for a few years at Home Shopping Europe and in the UK, QVC UK. And what it was for us was that I had that fantastic exposure to so many great designers. So for us, we knew what little tricks to make a woman's body look that much better. And that's what we incorporated into our collection. And so certainly being exposed to all these amazingly talented people, you just take from everybody and you retool it to be your own.
Yeah. And, sometimes it's interesting. I was just out at some big event in public, and I had two different sets of women who had watched me on HSN because I developed a middle-aged gene, my light bulb moment in life.
Brilliant.
And that, it really felt like a light bulb moment. It felt like I knew I was onto something huge, and I got nothing but discouragement around me. Like even men saying, "Middle-aged women shouldn't wear jeans. What are you doing?" Okay, so I'm a big defender for that. But I think the biggest...
Yeah, I think middle-aged women, any woman should wear whatever she wants, okay?
Especially if it can reconnect you to your youth and make you feel you have more of a sense of self-esteem. But what I find very tricky, and maybe less tricky now because my hair is white, is you don't want to keep trying to recreate yourself as a 20-year-old.
No, you don't. And like,
And that is difficult to build that glamour bridge because we don't have any images to go by, you and I, as older women who are, and you are still so glamorous, my gosh. We had to do it all ourselves. We had to figure it out. What does an average woman do who doesn't have the advantages of all that accumulated knowledge and wisdom?
Yeah, well, look, I think that there's so much available to everybody out there, and you
Today,
can find fashion, your fashion. You can find makeup tricks, and then you can say to yourself, you know what? I love the way I am, who I am, and at this stage of my life, embrace it. For example, like I just had the opportunity in the last few years to do some new TV roles, TV movies, and I was just so excited that I got to play the diva matriarch. Okay, I was the floozy, I was the mistress, I was whatever. This time I was the matriarch, and I had a very different hairstyle, and I loved it. I was still glamorous, I was commanding, and I was powerful, and I was powerful in that age range, in that
I love
role.
that. Yeah,
Mhm.
I love that. And for me, I felt like I was the last man standing. I mean, my light bulb moment was at 60 years old. There was somebody left my age designing in fashion, because fashion and frankly, television, show business, there isn't a more age-phobic, youth-obsessed set of industries. And there I was, totally by myself. And then I had to come back after treatment as still the same personality, but a totally different looking person. And this whole thing with the white hair and you know, I'm now almost 78. You've got to yeah, way, total way. And you know, proud of it. And people say to me, why do you tell your age? Nobody would guess. Well, you know, want to know why? Because if we are not honest, then everybody coming up after us is going to have to do the whole smoke and mirror thing. Why not be proud of where you're at the moment?
I agree, but we still do the smoke and mirrors. We'll do it, okay? Whatever it takes, if it makes you happy. Look, I remember I did a movie, it was a long time ago, and it was definitely a long time ago. It was with Olympia Dukakis. And
I loved her.
And I was playing, and I was in my 30s. And I think I had just had my twin boys. And you know, not to brag, I got back in shape in 6 weeks. I looked great. And I went to do this movie, and I had a night shoot, and I got to be on camera like at 4 a.m. And, you know, I had traveled the day, blah, blah, blah. But I was in my 30s, okay? And I got on camera, and the producer said, oh, wait, we have to stop. Can somebody fix her? Can somebody make her look better?
Oh,
and
no.
I went, well, what's wrong? They said, well, you know, you have this vein here. And I went, okay, so let's like put some makeup on it. And they said, you know what? And the producer pulled me aside. It was a female. And she said, you know, I'll give you the name of a good plastic surgeon. You should have that vein removed because you're not going to do anything more with that vein there. And I went, are you kidding me? First of all, it's 4 a.m., okay? And we have lighting, we have makeup, and I'm in my 30s. And Olympia Dukakis took me aside. She said, you know what? Don't let her get to you. You've earned those wrinkles. And I went, okay, is that a compliment? You know? And I had to really like readjust and think, okay, I'm in my 30s. I have
Okay, so let me let me counter that with a recent story of mine. So I was somewhere, I think I was at the Philadelphia Flower Show, and we were doing a social media thing. And a group of women walk up to me and say, Diane, is that you? And one of them says to me, wow, you're actually attractive in person.
What?
I'm not kidding. The lighting, you at least, Audrey, because of your multiplicity of talents, you had the advantage of having professional lighting, professional makeup, veins standing out in your forehead or not. I had to be at the mercy of just normal run-of-the-mill studio lighting on tele-retail. And then later in the day, a second group of women that came up to me, and one of them said, Diane, I can't believe it. You're actually pretty in person. And I thought, oh my God.
They
So
say, you know what? I better do something about that lighting.
immediately, you know, so I can do it now for my podcasts. And actually when COVID hit, we had to start doing our podcast by Skype at home. And I bought like 500 ring lights so that I look like I have this glow. And
well, I'm sitting here and I am hoping the sun doesn't go down because I had whatever, it's not important, but I'm in a different room than I would normally be in, and I, depending on the sunlight outside,
we'll blow the clouds away for you. So you, I believe, a key question in your industry, which was even in its own way crueler than my industry, which was a combo of tele-retailing and fashion. Wow, I remember a time when somebody like Michelle Pfeiffer's career just sort of came to a brick wall when she turned 40. I think it's because you had such a multiplicity of talents that you were able to circumnavigate around those natural walls and just keep expanding your accomplishments.
Yeah, you know, I hadn't really thought about it like that. But yeah, as I continued exploring different facets of my career, not only on camera and attempting to find roles that would fit my new image, but I did that. I didn't really do that as much as I did, for example, with my music, because I had so many hits when, you know, through the 80s, especially, and then 90s, early 90s. And then I had my kids. Okay. And
yeah,
I don't want to do this anymore. I just want to, the new chapter of my life now. I've been doing this and I'm 14. Okay. I want a new chapter. And then my record company came in and said, well, would you do another album? And I said, yeah, you know what? I will. But I have moved out of LA. I have children that I have to take to school. So if we can record this between the hours of 9 a.m. and we were in a studio in my little hometown here, which is at the time, it was almost impossible to find, but we did. And I no longer want to be that image. I mean, look, if I could have, yeah, you can kind of see like over there, you see, that was the image. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now I'm grown up, I have kids, my fans have grown up with me and they followed me. So I want to do something that was more relatable. And so I changed my style of music a little. And I have a son who at the time was like 9 and really proved to have an amazing talent, which has still, we can talk about that if you want, but he's 29 now. And but at 9 I said, okay, we're going to do an album of mother-son duets, and we're going to reach the audience. And we did it in many languages, released throughout Europe, and it just kind of was a reinvention. So as you said, maybe the TV roles weren't there. You know, I had a little smattering here and there, like I did a little stint on Burn Notice or whatever. But I didn't have that great impact like I did on Dallas, for sure. So I was fortunate that I had my singing career, and I continued with that until I kind of circumvented, and I'm back at a more mature age. And as I said, now I'm doing these diva roles.
I love that. For me, it actually was an advantage to be an aging top personality on tele-retail, because that particular viewer customer, they're extremely loyal.
Yes.
And they even found it very difficult when I just stepped back in December of 2022. And I asked myself, Audrey, was I going to miss the viewership? We sort of had formed this sisterhood, and I was on TV for 30 years. And I made a list. What did I love about TV? Communication. Could I carry that on? Yeah, I could, in social media and podcasts. My vanity said, are you ready to go in front of a camera all the time? Can you do it? And I thought, absolutely, because it's a much more comfortable venue where you can control dialogue, your own lighting, whatever. So honestly, I am having the most fun I have had in years, climbing up to the position, not there yet, but getting there, of silver-haired influencer, and taking our audience, our fan base, and saying, you don't have to be us, but you can do it too. I just think it's a matter of really settling down and saying to yourself, what's important to me at this phase of my life? And I think for most women, they want, at least image-wise, some connection to their youth. You certainly have it. Wow. You are just stunning.
Well,
Really.
We're doing, let's see, in a couple of months, we're doing the 45th Dallas reunion.
Oh, wow.
No!
Seriously. 45th.
Oh, how
5
fun.
years
Oh, my God.
Dallas first was aired. I mean, that's a staggering thought.
Yes.
It is just remarkable. And I'm excited that I'm a part of it.
What's it going to be? Is it going to be?
No, it's not a televised event. It's a live event that's happening in Palm Springs.
How fun.
What a blast.
How fun. What a great experiential thing to do, because I think for girls like us, you can feel really flogged for the thing you want the most, which is more life on earth, right? Which involves aging. But in fact, that event alone sounds so celebratory. I just love it.
Yeah, but for me, as you had kind of hinted at, why do people not tell their age and this and that? Up until probably maybe this year, I would have to do the math when somebody would ask me how old I am. It never was a number that was in my head. And I don't know if it was so much that it was avoidance of telling, or that it was that I felt that the concept of a number was so restrictive. I just don't think
you nailed it.
People should be living with a number image. They should be living the way they feel inside.
Yeah, a vitality image instead, really.
Yeah, and so and it wasn't so much as, oh, don't ask me my age. You should never ask a woman her age. I still think that's impolite. Okay, how many times do they ask men how old they are?
Ever.
Let me ask you this, Audrey, as we go to our close. We have about 5 more minutes with you as our delightful guest. I'm curious about the transition, right? Because you're on Dallas, you're a multi-award-winning singer, and then you create Landers Star Collection. So the question is, how was that transition welcomed? Were you dismissed? She's just an actress. Or how did you come to the table with enough gravitas with your partner to launch Landers Star Collection of fashion?
Well, first of all, my mom was my business partner. and she always has been. And so it was just sort of a natural offshoot, because people always asked me about my wardrobe and about my sense of fashion. And I had such a wonderful fan base, especially in Dallas. And so my mom and I just felt our concept was to create affordable glamour for women of all ages. My mom would represent one age and body type, and I was another. And so we always had a great laugh about it, because we could share clothes. Maybe the sizes sometimes weren't the same in the movie, but the styles were. And so that was our concept, that every woman is a star and she deserves to shine.
That's a very smart concept. And I ask you, I will tell you, when I got on television, and it was totally like a freak accident, never thought of me as an image on a screen. I went to an opera singer and had my voice lowered, because it was this high, screechy New York voice. And then I put myself into acting school. And after the first day of that school, the teacher came up to me and said, "What are you doing here?" I could not master remembering lines at all. But if you just put me in front of a camera and let me talk, I could create a whole story and a whole fashion world. How different that is from, I so admire you for being able to you brought your beauty talent, your physical presence talent, your acting talent, your musical talent, all into your career. I basically had two talents, fashion and extemporaneous talking, but somehow we did it, and we're still here, baby. That is the point.
And my mom was the first generation. I'm the second. My son is the third generation now in show business, and he and I have collaborated on many projects together. We have a dark pop musical film. He wrote all the music. I wrote the screenplay. He has written actually a crime comedy TV series.
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
We are very prolific as a family, and we work so well together. We are so lucky to enjoy hanging out and working with each other. And that's not to say we don't have a little, confrontation, but, confrontation can breed creativity as well. And so, we are free to bounce off ideas, and, it's just such
But I would say the message, honestly, is never stop trying to be better. Never give up the essence of you. That, I think, is one of the trickiest things for an aging female, is what was the essence of you as a youth that you want to carry forward, but in a time appropriate manner. That is so tricky.
But I think that also you cannot be afraid to explore new things. Don't just dwell on something that you loved in your youth. If there's something that maybe you were afraid to try, or something that is intriguing to you, you have to go for it. This is the time to do it.
Yes, and I will end this with a very quick story that I found very touching. So I was researching what women do with their time after they lose their mate, because traditionally you usually lose your mate at least 10 years before you exit from this physical plane. So we go on for longer. So the story is a woman, she raised children, she had a husband, that's what she did. Her husband grew iller and he wound up in the hospital for a prolonged period of time. She was an avid gardener. She started bringing bouquets to him to cheer him up. One day, one of the nurses said, "We're going to change. We have to clean the room. Do you mind if I take your bouquets down to the children's floor in the hospital? I think it will be really cheery for them." Then, as he grew iller, she started bringing an extra set of bouquets of her homegrown flowers and giving them to the head nurse on the children's floor. Then the hospital came to her and said, "Your bouquets are so uplifting. Could you supply us with like 10 a week that we could put into our gift shop?" And now she has a little national business based on something she
Following.
really took to heart as she aged. And I thought, that's such a beautiful story with such a great message to it. So with that, I say bravo, bravo, bravo to you, Audrey. Oh my gosh.
What a
You
delightful
are just
interview.
the epitome of what so many of us would love to be when we grow up. That's good. That's
Audrey,
all good, Audrey. Don't overthink it too much. It's a good message.
and Audrey, we would also, in applauding you, want to say congratulations. What, 35 years next month, married to Donald Barkowitz.
Yeah,
35 years, May 8th, I guess. So you have an anniversary coming up.
we do.
Yeah, so congratulations on that too, in addition to your sons.
You know what? You
Not
beat
mentioning
the
Daniel
odds.
Landers and also Adam Landers Berkowitz. Well done.
You beat the odds everywhere, Audrey. You're still gorgeous, well into your 60s. In a land of, yeah, really, in a land of divorce after divorce, which is the land of show business. You circumvented that. You have survived with multi-talent. I can't even tell you how much fun this podcast was for us. I thank you so much for taking time out of what really is a busy part of your career again and just sharing a little bit of you with everybody.
It was so much.
Such a pleasure.
Thank you.
Have a great day, Audrey. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Diane, was that not an absolutely amazing interview with Audrey?
It was amazing because so few women who had the kind of role Audrey had, which was really about being blonde and beautiful, and that was a Dallas role. And frankly, I just returned from Dallas 3 days ago, and that whole image is still there.
Still, seriously.
How she managed to circumvent all the brick walls of aging and still, she just got back, everybody. She did a huge concert last night and she was with us this morning. So for me, I never thought I would be on TV. As a matter of fact, I was terrified. I didn't even like being photographed.
Really?
I have very few photographs of myself as a youth. Yeah, I was sort of photophobic. But bottom line, you play a public role, and whether it is New York dress designer and champion of middle-aged women, or you play blonde glamour girl who obviously now can sing and dance and write and produce, but you have a certain obligation to the people that follow you, your fan base, your sisterhood, to keep it going and to keep on being aspirational and inspirational, even at times, like with breast cancer, when it was not so easy and not so normal, and you had to put extra effort into it. And I do think that Audrey really proves the point where she never let ageism, she never even believed in ageism. She never allowed it really to enter her mind.
Yeah.
And what we are 11 years apart. So Audrey is 66, I'm 77. And there we are. And we're still trucking on, and we're still using our talents and using our creativity. And wow, she is such a beacon of light for women.
Absolutely.
And you got to have a great attitude, and you've got to admit to yourself, it ain't easy.
No, it's
but
not.
Nobody ever said the best things in life were going to get handed to you on a silver platter. but
Well,
it's all about you show yourself as a glamour girl,
mhm,
and then that is the identity box you
mhm.
are in for the whole of your
Ooh,
public
I
career.
like that. An
And you can
identity
do it.
box. I
Yeah,
love
you can
that.
do it, but it takes a lot of work for
Yeah.
sure.
Well, Diane, when you're talking about the identity box, I want to share with our viewers that you also have a wonderful autobiography, Too Young to Be Old. How to Stay Vibrant, Visible, and Forever in Blue Jeans, which chronicles your creation of your iconic line, DG2 Denim Jeans for Women, where you sold 20 million pairs on HSN and QVC. Here's the question I want to ask you, because also saw parallels in your story with Audrey Landers.
Yeah,
And
very much.
yeah, but so the first part of my question is this: when you talk about the idea box, you say that your story is when you got an idea or an inspiration, go for it. If you believe in it, do it. Don't ask permission. How is that relevant to your rise and what you did as an iconic businesswoman?
Well, nobody ever supported me. First of all, I didn't have a degree from any kind of fashion school, so I didn't have the creds, right? The credibility. But second of all, you will find, this is interesting, but I'll bet you Audrey would agree with me. You will find in any industry that depends on talent, a
Mhm.
complete and total distrust of talent among the money guys, the guys that are going to back you, the guys that are going to, you can come to them with a great idea and they'll go, fantastic. Okay, let's sign on the dotted line. And the minute you sign,
Mhm.
they want to change the whole thing to something they understand. My idea, which was to create a jean for a middle-aged customer that was based on my measurements as a middle-aged woman who'd
Mhm.
gone through everything, and my body changed, and not for the better.
Mhm.
And that, I peddled that idea for 2 years, and
2
all I
years.
got was a drawer full of no's.
Oh my
No,
gosh.
middle-aged women aren't going to buy jeans. No, middle-aged women don't wear fitted bottoms. Yeah, I know they don't, because I'm middle-aged and I want to, but there's nothing out there. But now I created something that there is,
Mhm.
that there is for this woman, and nobody recognized the baby boomer as the customer and respected her. And so from that point of view, we had a middle-aged female CEO at HSN. She got it. She'd been one of the founders of Polo Jeans. She got it. And she gave me a chance. And luckily for all of us, the results were instantaneous, stratospheric. And
Wow.
so
Wow.
but I was so used to being alone with my invention, and I just wouldn't take no for an answer. I just kept knocking on doors until I found a door that opened, and I said, "Well, hello." And they said, "Well, hello, we like your idea. We're going to
Yeah.
give you a chance." And when I got
Oh.
that go ahead, I went to my partner at the time, who was a male, and he said, "Why would old fat chicks want to wear jeans? I don't want to see them in jeans." So I didn't even have support from my own business partner, but since I was a majority partner, I was going to go ahead and do it anyway.
Right.
And it was amazing at 60 years old, when most people had deserted the fashion world. I mean, fashion is all about what we call fast fashion, which means really young fashion. You're
Mhm.
in your late teens, early 20s. Fashion revolves a lot, and it revolves faster as the garments get cheaper. So even today, I find where I have a special occasion and I really have to go after something monumental to buy,
Mhm.
they're not making it for me. They're not saying, well, you might be at the peak of your spending power at this point in your life, So we're thinking of you when we're designing this evening gown or this pantsuit. No,
But
it's
still,
still for a
even today,
20-year-old to weigh 90 pounds and are 6 feet tall. So
wow.
you know what? It is so rare to find someone like Audrey who has overcome every obstacle, but as a matter of fact, didn't even see them as obstacles. She had
Right.
so many talents to choose from
Mhm,
that
mhm,
if one wasn't working within her age slot, she just went to another. And
mhm,
for me, when I decided to take a step back from live tele-retail,
mhm.
it was because honestly, at 77, I wanted to take my communication skills and spread maybe a broader, more useful, more inspirational message on my own.
Mhm.
And podcast and being in front of a camera was such a link for me and so natural for me at this point. I could use my communication skills, which I
Mhm.
developed on TV,
Mhm.
and hopefully spread a really inspirational and aspirational and useful message to
Mhm.
women 55 plus and
Yeah.
feel excited again, but
Yeah.
not be connected to a huge business that did $100 million a year at
Mhm.
retail. I felt that I had already proven that.
Yeah. You got your street
And
creds.
now I wanted to invite in the possibility that I could become one of the first silver-haired influencers for all things good 55 plus. So you know what? It's all about life enjoyment. I'm having a blast. I
That's so good.
love doing this.
Yeah. You look
And
happy.
I never look back and say to
Uh,
myself, oh, I made a terrible mistake. You know what? You can be in a position that you've been in for many years. It can be comfortable, but the thrill may be gone. And if you're someone like me, where the thrill is the thing that self-fulfillment is so important, coming up with an idea and crafting it and shaping it, because there aren't that many white-haired influencers out there.
right. Right.
I feel a lot that I'm on my own, but at the same time, I also feel in a strange way, even though I'm the most untechnical person alive, that I can feel the audience wanting that information and wanting that camaraderie
Yeah.
on social media. So for me, all good.
Let me ask you this to reflect on something in the remaining 10 minutes that we have left, Diane. And again, I saw a lot of parallels between Audrey Landers' clothing collection and yours. Her philosophy is, and I want you to reflect on this. Audrey says every woman is a star and she deserves to shine. That's also part of your philosophy as a Silverella, yes?
You know, my philosophy for sure is that you're in charge. At this point in your life, you're in charge. What do you want to be? Who do you want to be? I felt that I had captured a glamorous image on and with my fashion brand. And my big wall to conquer was not only age, but getting breast cancer at 72. So that was 5 years ago. And, you know, I made it into actually a very positive, life affirming, pleasurable journey where it was, what do you do with white hair? And you couldn't wear the colors you used to wear, and you couldn't wear the patterns you used to wear. And how do you do it now? And I started playing with it, and maybe it's because fashion is truly in my blood and every breath I take. I thought, who is this woman in the mirror wearing pastels? I never
Oh,
wore lilac and baby pink and new grass green, but so even for me, it's a surprise. But yeah, every day I say to myself, it matters how you look. It matters how you come across to people. It matters for me. It really matters knowing kind of where I am in life, that
mhm.
I make everybody around me feel better about themselves and happy. I want to spread a lot of joy for the
Yeah.
time I have left. And
Yeah.
that's part of my whole productivity
Mhm.
thing, is not to be a grumpy older woman, but to be a very grateful, inspired, gracious older woman, and maybe show a couple of generations below me
Mhm.
how you should age.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
feel so frightened of it. It can be a great adventure and an incredible time in your life. And so I have my purpose. I have my goals, and I think that's what connects me back to all the preceding years of my
Mhm.
life. I was always very goal oriented, very, very energetic about being and making every moment productive.
Mhm.
And it's still of ultimate importance to me. So, I would just say to anybody out there, old age is not scary. Growing older, well, like Keith Richards says, life's a funny thing. Nobody wants to grow old, but nobody wants to die young. So we better learn how to grow old gracefully and joyously and successfully.
Yeah.
And that is my purpose in life at this point. I
Good.
just shifted my goals slightly
Mhm.
from being a very selfish minor TV personality and only child. I have the only child syndrome, to being someone who wants to share more and give more. And that is, in
Mm.
truth, what makes podcasting so important to me. But it's also, in truth, what
Mhm.
makes this period of my life so pleasurable, that I
That's
am
so
in a
good.
position to give back. Yeah.
What a,
Thank you.
what a delight, Diane. This has been a great show. I've
Yeah.
thoroughly enjoyed it.
Super great.
And I also want to encourage our audience who's been watching our show that you will all like this series, that you'll subscribe to this series, because every Saturday morning at 10 a.m., count on Diane Gilman, 55 plus, Aging with Grace, Diane Gilman, 55 plus, to bring you topics, to bring you information that you can use as all of us continue this journey of aging with grace.
I say on
you
Saturday
say-
morning, instead of watching the depressing news, toast that bagel, smear it with cream cheese, get that cup of coffee, and while you're kind of padding around the house, doing this and doing that, and getting ready for the activities of the day, you're listening to us talk
it.
about topics where, if you are 50 plus, 40 plus, and you're
Yes.
saying to yourself, how am I going to enter old age? Oh my gosh, it's so crazy, so scary. Whoa, unknown territory. We're blazing the trail to make that
Absolutely.
so much more pleasurable, more productive, and easier for you. Well, thank you, everybody. We had a lot of fun
It was
today.
a lot of fun today. And also, folks, be sure to listen to our companion audio podcast series. And also, let's give a shout out to Nina. Nina, we appreciate you. And Diane, I'll let you get to that gala tonight, the Bridgerton Gala. You have a tiara, you said.
No, the gala is a little later in the month, but yeah, I always, because I'm such a fashionista, I always stress out over wardrobe and who do I want to
my
look
God.
like during the Bridgerton event from Bridgerton, and how do I want to emulate that? So that's just another super duper fun thing for me to
There
do,
you
is
are.
to put together an image. But the real good thing about Bridgerton
Yeah.
is the queen with the white powdered wig. Hey, I'm
Uh-oh.
living that every day. So at least that part of it I've got in place and under control.
Under control, indeed. So till next week, Diane, what a pleasure. I'll see you next Saturday morning.
Perfect. Thanks
10
so
a.m.
much.
You're
Bye.
welcome. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Viewers.